Thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Maria Moreau taking a live look outside right now at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. It is currently Thursday, but the weekend is right around the corner, so if you are making plans, do know we have beautiful weather this weekend for you, so lots to look forward to. This is in case you missed it, so we want to get you caught up on some of the stories making headlines in case you missed it. Starting with this one, a tragic story to share with you after a multi-county chase ended in the death of a canine officer. You're looking right here. His officer handler was also injured. The driver refusing to stop for a Coweta County Sheriff's deputy. Atlanta News First reporter Sarah Hammond has been at the scene along Roosevelt Highway all morning long and has the latest details.
County Sheriff's Office is telling us this started with a traffic stop at 11 o'clock last night near Tommy Lee Cook Road, but they say that car refused to stop and kept going into Fulton County here at speeds of about 110 miles per hour until they ended up here, where traffic is blocked on Roosevelt Highway with this large scene that they are continuing to investigate. The Sheriff's Department says the deputy performed a pit maneuver to try to stop the car and used their K9 Titan to help arrest the driver. You can see the car there on the railroad tracks, and that's been a focal point this morning in the investigation. That's when they say the driver opened fire at the deputy and the K9. They say the dog Titan was hit multiple times and was killed at the scene. The deputy was also hit multiple times with graze wounds. They are expected to be okay. And the deputy returned fire on the driver, hitting them multiple times. That driver was pronounced dead on the scene. They have not yet identified the driver. Now, the Sheriff's Office says the K9 Titan has been with the department for more than 5 years. During that time, they say he has successfully located several missing people, identified illegal narcotics, as well as assisted in arresting multiple suspects. And the GBI is here investigating this shooting, and multiple agencies have been here all night trying to piece together what happened here. In Fairburn, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
And I want you to be on the lookout for these two men who are on the run. They're accused of flashing multiple teenagers and a woman in Gwinnett County. In the first incident, the victim said that they saw a man following them inside of a TJ Maxx store before proceeding to expose himself. Then at a racetrack gas station on Scenic Highway, a victim says a man was in his car when the same happened to them. Police say that the cases are separate and they're working to find the suspects involved, and adding that you just want to make sure that you are being aware when you are in public, because these situations unfortunately are becoming all that more common. And taking you out to Griffin County right now, as a community is grieving the loss of a Navy veteran and city employee. Eric Weems died on the job, and this morning his colleague is fighting to stay alive. The city manager for Griffin says Trent Granger is recovering at Grady Memorial Hospital. He is currently stable. The city says Weems and Granger were working on a power project when something went horribly wrong. Friends and coworkers of Weems described him as a great soul. Griffin officials say they will provide updates about Granger at Grady when they can. And again, family and friends gathering, even the governor taking to speak on this tragic incident that took the life of a city employee and hospitalized another. The investigation, meanwhile, is still ongoing, so if you have any information pertaining to this, police and investigators are asking if you can contact them. All right, I want to take you a little more nationally and turn your attention to the Capitol. There is a growing reaction to President-elect Donald Trump's surprise pick of former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. He was nominated to become the nation's highest-ranking law enforcement officer. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Welcome back. After a bitter battle on the campaign trail, President Joe Biden welcomed President-elect Donald Trump to a cordial meeting at the White House.
Politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today.
The 2-hour sit-down as Trump's transition rolled ahead, naming Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as his pick for U.S. Attorney General, raising eyebrows from both sides of the aisle.
It's just kind of like a God tier kind of trolling, just to trigger a meltdown.
I just think it's silly. The president is smart enough and his team is smart enough to know that Mr. Gates will never get confirmed by the Senate.
Gates, a staunch Trump ally, resigned from the House Wednesday, just days before a House ethics panel was set to vote on whether to release its report on its investigation into whether Gates engaged in sexual misconduct and tried to obstruct government investigations. That's according to 3 sources with knowledge of the committee's work. Wednesday, Trump also named former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as his director of national intelligence. She's likely to be grilled over sympathetic statements toward Russia and a self-funded trip to meet with Syria's leader. The Army vet last night on Fox News.
The American people delivered quite an incredible mandate for change in this election. Of course, there's going to be resistance to change from the swamp in Washington.
The groundwork being laid at the White House as Republicans make a clean sweep on the Hill, now projected to control the House and the Senate. Jared Hill, CBS News.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in
Meanwhile, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis sat down for an exclusive interview with Atlanta News First after securing her second term in office. Several topics, including her office's investigation into Mr. Trump's alleged role in Georgia's election interference, came up. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon spoke with Metro Atlanta's top prosecutor.
Proud of our first term.
Fulton County DA Fani Willis says some of the biggest accomplishments of her first term happened outside of the courtroom. Her team cleared a decade's worth of backlogged cases, 18,000 of them, some dating back to 2014. She started a pre-indictment diversion program that already has seen 300 people graduate with no jail time, and the DA's mentorship program is now working with 500 kids in 20 local schools. But a few criminal cases dominated the headlines in her first 4 years, none more so than her prosecution of Donald Trump and some of his allies for election crimes in Georgia.
I didn't indict anyone who I did not believe committed a crime in any case.
The future of Trump's case becomes murkier after Trump's re-election. A Supreme Court ruling earlier this year made it tougher to prosecute presidents for things they do on the job. Willis indicated she still plans to pursue charges against Trump.
If someone has an indictment in this office, no matter who they are, we continue to pursue those charges.
Emory University law professor John Acevedo says because Trump can avoid prosecution in the White House, the DA may only have one choice.
In theory, Fani Willis could try the other defendants, wait 4 years, and then bring the case back against Donald Trump as soon as he leaves office.
It'll be hard to do, but there's nothing stopping Willis from doing it. She said as much on Wednesday.
And, I'm here for 8 more years is my plan. And so if that's what it takes for us to get justice in some cases, we come to work every day. We'll come to work and look for justice.
Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
And we are going to have this full interview with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, if you wanted to listen. All right, this is in case you missed it, so I want to bring in Atlanta News First anchor Brooks Baptiste with some stories we want you to hear about.
Hey, good morning to you, Maria. Of course, a couple of things that we're watching this morning. I want to start with this one. Today is actually Ruby Bridges' Walk to School Day at Hope Hill Elementary in Atlanta. Now, look, we've been talking about the rain, so the rain did seem to have a bit of an impact on the event, but still, each year on November 14th, students, parents, and communities are urged to walk kids to school, so they held a commemorative walk in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll have an update for you on Atlanta News First at noon about that. But back in 1960, you may remember, if you know your history, Bridges became one of 4 people to integrate schools in New Orleans, Louisiana. And she was only 6 years old. 2 years ago, Miss Bridges wrote a picture book for children telling her story. And I still remember that iconic picture. Again, 1960 was way before my time and your time as well, Maria. But still, that is one of those pictures that continues to make such a lasting impact. That one right there. And you can almost never get it out of your head just seeing her in front of those 3 white men. And again, what history she made that day. Also, it is Thursday, and we're now 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is sending out its yearly food safety reminders because I know y'all get excited about the leftovers and you get excited about cooking and all that good stuff, but we need to keep you safe. So when you're shopping for your turkey, the USDA does recommend picking it up at the end of your grocery shopping to keep it as cold as long as possible. It also says you should check that the packaging isn't torn to prevent the spread of bacteria. So when serving food to groups, remember the 2-hour rule. This goes for perishable foods that have sat out at room temperature for more than 2 hours. The USDA says that food becomes unsafe due to bacterial growth and must be discarded. And Maria, I know there are some people who just heard that and they said, wait a minute. Sometimes we leave food out a little longer than 2 hours and we still take our chances with it.
You got lucky.
But you know what? This year we're going to do better.
We're going to do better.
Serve the food, enjoy the food, pack it up so that you can have your leftovers for 2 days, and then it's time to let it go.
So I got to ask you while you're here, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
So if I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of like just the traditional Thanksgiving foods. I do love myself a little dressing. I love greens, but we have greens on Sundays anyway sometimes, so that's not really anything.
Oh, you have Thanksgiving every weekend.
That's the thing.
That's
I feel
why
like
you're not
sometimes
grateful.
I kind of grew up like that. So for me, I guess you get the turkey, but probably mine would be the dressing. And some of the pies that come with it as well.
It makes or breaks the dish.
That's
really
right.
Does. All right, Brooks Baptiste, thank you so much for joining me here. I want to give you one last final look outside of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Again, the weekend is right around the corner, and we are keeping you up to date on the weather ahead. Atlanta News First meteorologist Ella Dorsey will be joining us here in the next 19 minutes for another installment of